Because I was born into a lower middle class family, all I thought and all I understood and all I was made to understand and given to understand was you need to fit in, you need to be recognized, you need to be visible to be successful. You need to get to the joyful state. You need to get to the peaceful state. For that, you need to know who you are. You need to step out and not fit in.
What would be the fundamental traits a person should have to become an author?
For fiction, most people think fiction is the opposite of non-fiction. Oh, fiction means just a figment of imagination. You sit and write something.
Exactly.
No, it takes more courage to write fiction than non-fiction.
Why do you say that? So you are saying there are AI authors, like people who
Yeah,
are going to
plenty.
AI?
Plenty. I've got clients who's written biography. Biography, now that's the most ridiculous thing. A person wrote her biography using ChatGPT, and then she comes to me saying, put emotions.
Hello and welcome everyone. This is Vivek Naik and you are watching Readers Official, a place where authors from around the world speak beyond pages. A place where every story helps you see work, life and purpose a little differently. Today I have with me an author who has written 4 books. Anamika, Step Out and Step It Up, Style Your Destiny, and When Your Job Sucks. Plus, she's also an editor of more than 10 books. Plus, she's also a ghostwriter for more than 5 biographies. And she's coaching more than hundreds of professionals on writing book. She's also a veteran with more than 20 years of experience in mainstream journalism. Please welcome Miss Nisha Sanjeev.
Thank you, Vivek.
Nisha, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to have you, because when I started this journey of podcasting, I had people coming to me and say that please welcome Nisha also to the show. She's amazing. And since then, I have been visualizing this podcast. And today is a day of reality. So it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. I was looking forward to this because we had long conversations over the phone. And it's long due as well, right? Almost
Exactly.
2 to 3 months now.
True. So, Nisha, help us understand your journey from childhood to your mainstream journalism career, and then a complete overhaul transformation to becoming an author and author coach. And share us some interesting stories. How was it?
That's a whole lot in one question. So how do I start? Well, my name is Nisha Sanjeev. I was born and brought up in a South Indian family, right? But if I say only that much, it wouldn't quantify my journey, because the word there is lower middle class. So I was born into a lower middle class South Indian family. And thereafter, up until this moment that I'm sitting before you, that lower middle class word is what quantifies and defines my journey, because my journey has been taking on identities and shedding identities as I understand the paradox of life. In a nutshell, because you asked me a lot in that question. So in a nutshell, this is it. I'm 52 years old today, and of my almost 2.5 decades of adult life, my journey after doing my master's in journalism has been this. Now looking in hindsight, I can say this: it has been taking on identities and shedding identities as I understand the paradox of life. Now, what I mean by that is, because I was born into a lower middle class family, all I thought and all I understood and all I was made to understand and given to understand was you need to fit in, you need to be recognized, you need to be visible to be successful. And that's what I did. I became a go-getter. I was a shy and very introverted girl. I wouldn't speak, not even to my classmates, because of various other issues, because I am a Malayali and I was studying in a convent. So there was no way I could exercise and my English vocabulary. So I was teased in school, which made me even more a private and shy child. So they started my journey. And of course, because as I said, lower middle class, I was made to feel that. My parents were made to feel their position. They were spoken to, you know. So all that made me become a go-getter. I said, I need to become visible. I need to earn respect for my parents. And therefore, I became a journalist. And I went all out. I pushed myself out of the comfort zones, the so-called comfort zones, what we say, to improve my vocabulary, became a speaker, wrote books, wrote columns to start with. I started my career as a journalist in India, in Deccan Chronicle. Came here to Dubai in 1999, 2000. Here, worked with Gulf News, DMI, Khaleej Times. After almost 21 years, I quit journalism because this is when I want to explain what I mean by paradox of life and taking on identities. I thought identities will give me visibility, identities will give me the status, which I thought was success. So I became a journalist, then I became a columnist. Then in journalism also there are hierarchies, right? So I climbed up the ladder from a sub-editor to an editor. I launched a career magazine. Still, I was considered a role model. I became a speaker. But inside I was still that girl who was afraid, who didn't know how to speak. Though people said I know to speak, but I didn't know how to express myself. There was something missing inside. A vacuum inside. There was no peace, there was no love, there was no joy, nothing. But I had everything for people to see. I was a successful woman. I was a role model. I had designations. I was living a good lifestyle according to social standards. That's how my first book happened, Anamika. In 2010, I started writing it. I published it in 2012. It talks about my transformation then, my awareness, this understanding. But still, even then, I couldn't express it in the way that I'm expressing it now. I didn't understand what was missing in me. I thought I had it all. And therefore, at that time, when I wrote Anamika, I thought everybody needs a purpose in life. And then you'll be happy. And I thought I didn't find my purpose in life. And that's why I'm unhappy. In 2012, that was my understanding. That's how my spiritual practice, I don't want to use the word spiritual, but that's how my inward journey started. I started asking myself, why, despite having everything what society says, I have and more of it, but why am I unhappy? And that's how my journey of understanding myself began. And I went and studied varied schools and thoughts and from masters who were talking about anything and everything but other than everyday life. And I quit my job. But it took me another 4 to 5 years. In 2016, I quit my job. Because I was really like a square peg in a round hole by then. I was so uncomfortable in my job. I didn't want to be that glamorous editor. No, I didn't want that. Something was suffocating. So I quit my job at the peak of my career. And for 2 years, I did nothing. 2018, I understood something. And at that point in time, what I understood was you need to step out and step it up to be happy in life. Okay? What is step out and step it up is you need to step out and do whatever that is required of you practically, polish your skills, learn whatever is needed, do whatever is physically needed, and step it up. Also understand who the real you is. Only when you marry both these can you be happy. That is my understanding from 2012 to 2018. And that's how I wrote a small guide, my second book, Step Out and Step It Up, which I started giving to my coaching clients. I was still seeking. The fire in me to know more about who I am really was like sort of burning. And then I understood, why did I change all these jobs? Why did I, what was I trying to do? I changed almost 7 jobs. And in hindsight, at that time, I thought I was changing jobs with people who were giving me more money. But looking back, once I stepped out of my day job and I looked back, that was not the only reason why I changed my jobs. That's how When Your Job Sucks happened, my 3rd book. That's a bestseller, even today. People buy that book the most. So in that, I decoded my own life that I've lived and came up with in today's parlance, what you call framework or strategy or whatever. So when your job sucks is, why do you feel stuck in your job? Or how can you choose your career? And what I understood is, it's usually people feel stuck because when they see only one angle and change their jobs, only the physical aspect. But there is a 4-prong step to choosing a job or changing your job. First is, for want of a better word, in the book I've used spiritual, then mental, then emotional, and then physical. What usually people do is they'll just do the research. They'll just put their word out, look at other people and see what are the benchmarks that you can get, what can you get out of a job, and then go ahead. And marry that with your skills and then go ahead. And then you feel stuck because it's only the physical aspect that you're seeing. You're not even checking your mental aspect and your emotional aspect. Forget the spiritual aspect. Right? So spiritual, I'm again using the word very reluctantly. I don't want to use a word. But spiritual is meaning to say, do you know yourself? That is your first thing. Do you really know yourself? Do you know what you really want? Do you know this is a job that you really want? Or is it because you think that field is the most important field now, or the most field in the most demanded field? Like today, everybody is running to AI. Right? 10 years back, it was all into engineering and medicine. Today, that is shifted. Everybody and anybody, anybody who knows to spell artificial intelligence thinks they are an expert on it and they need to be an expert.
True.
Right? So, is that what you really want? That's the spiritual first step. Second is a mental. Are you mentally equipped? Is your bandwidth there to understand that and endure it? And then comes the emotional part. Would you be happy doing it? And then come to the physical part. Do you have the skills? Are you educated? Are you in the same, in the geography, the locality or the location where it's feasible to go out and work in that area? But people only see the last part. So that is what When Your Job Sucks was. That was my decoding my own life. I was stuck in these jobs. Why? Because I took these jumps only for one particular reason, salary. Only for one particular reason. I didn't check the other areas at all. So what I say in that book is, I was just transitioning. People are stuck in their jobs, even when they change their jobs or careers, is because they're just transitioning. Transitioning is 80% mind and 20% intuition. Okay? You go a step further. People start transforming when it is 50-50. 50% you use your mind and 50% you use your intuition. You can see you are becoming a better version of yourself. Right? Even go beyond that. That is when you can be a little happier. What I call transcendence. That is 80% intuition and 20% mind. Then you get that graph. So when you transcend in your career, you will be a little more happier. Again, I'm using these words called happy, joyful, in context. If you only go deeper into it, you'll understand. Happiness is also temporary. Right? You get an ice cream today, happy. I'm happy today I'm on this podcast. Will it last? No. Right? I may be happy for the entire day today. Oh my God, I'm so high. I came and spoke to Vivek and I'm sharing my joy. Tomorrow, something happens, I forget about this. No. So happiness is transitory. Right? So you need to get to the joyful state. You need to get to the peaceful state. For that, you need to know who you are. You need to step out and not fit in. So all these together is what is in When Your Job Sucks. And that happened in 2021. I also had a lot of time with me during COVID. After that, in 2023, I wrote my fourth one, that is Style Your Destiny. That's a narrative. Again, it's a narrative non-fiction. It's to say, anybody and anyone can style your destiny. That's it. Now, this is a controversial topic, if you want to say, or a very debatable topic. We are all come with our own destiny, right? We can change it, but we can't alter it. If you're born to reach somewhere, you will reach. How you reach is in your hands.
Okay.
How you reach is in your hands. How much of it can you bear peacefully, joyfully is in your hands. Right? You don't choose your parents. You have no say in it. Of course you have. That's another topic again. If you delve into spirituality, you will know. I mean, each soul chooses their parents. But we're not getting into that because this is not the podcast to talk about it. So we have no choice when you talk about our life, where we are born to, to which family we are born to which financial situations that we are born to. Like Bill Gates said, right? You can't blame if you're born poor, but you can blame yourself if you die poor. Right? In other words, what he's saying is certain things that we are supposed to suffer or endure, let's not use the word suffer, to endure, is written. It's predetermined. That's what you call as destiny.
Okay.
But you can style it. It's like a mannequin, in the mannequin in the shops that you see, that is there. The roadmap is there. You can style it differently. That is what you can do using your free will, using your attitude, whatever you want to say. So that's my my last book, fourth one, called Style Your Destiny. It's a story. It's a story. The third book, When Your Job Sucks, is also a narrative nonfiction. It's not only talking about the strategies or what my learnings are. There are slices of my life in it. And it is told in a story format. Similarly, my first book, Anamika, is also a novel in verse. It's a compilation of all my poems narrated through a story. So there are 100 poems and 14 sonnets, but woven in a story. Okay. So because I somehow feel non-fiction is too dry. It's like reading school books, right? You've done school and college. So when you write non-fiction, I prefer writing narrative non-fiction. And after that, what happened? After that, I started becoming an author coach. Again, it's another identity I took on. Because otherwise people, how will they know what I'm doing? To navigate this world, to navigate this 3D matrix, what you call, you need some titles, right? Though that title is what is making you suffer. But you need that. So at last I called I need to say this, something very interesting. You have all the 4 books with you. You can see the first one, I called myself a journalist. I was a full-time journalist then. The second one, I've called myself a practical spirituality teacher. The third one, I've called myself a passionpreneur. The final one, I've called myself an author coach. Because I've been changing. I'm not the Nisha who wrote the last book. I'm not the Nisha I was yesterday even. But that doesn't mean I disown any of them. I'm proud of all that. I'm proud. Each book is my own journey. And it's still out. It's all there on my website. And I don't stop anybody from reading it or buying it even. Because we are all at certain ladder of our journey. So people who are at that ladder then will resonate with those books. True. I'm not saying I've evolved, no, but I'm also climbing. So tomorrow maybe you call me for the next podcast, maybe I'll say, no, what I said in my first podcast is, I don't resonate with it. But this is my awareness today. So that has been my journey, and that's why I say life is a paradox. You know, and the more you try to unravel it and say it is wrong, the more it'll come back to you and say, no, it is right. So that has been my journey up until now. So there was a phase, small phase, I think last year to last year, 23, this is 26 or 26, yeah, 23, 24, there was this phase of me not wanting to call myself anything. I didn't want any title. I took it off from LinkedIn and, I said, I just be me, I'm a human being. Right? That's a chaos in this world today, right? Today, the world is in this condition because of these titles, because of the power plays. Titles bring you power plays. So I didn't want to use any of this. But then I realized, and that is what I've just written a paper on this very thing about becoming. It's called Becoming. Because all my life, I struggled to become someone. Because I thought my parents had no identity. Because they are not someone. My father was an employee in HAL, my mother a housewife, didn't go to college. So I thought they are not someone, that's why we are not respected. And I wanted to become someone. Becoming someone, I wouldn't say wasted, almost 2.5 decades of my life was consumed in becoming someone. And which didn't give me any peace at all. Right? So that is what I am currently pursuing. I'm trying to understand myself more and understanding the meaning of becoming. So what my current awareness, what I'm following today as I speak to you is becoming is coming into your own being. That is where you have peace. You say success, right? Why do you want success? Whatever. What is success to you? If I ask, what is success?
For me, success is excelling in what I'm doing right now. For me, success would be to become a good podcaster out there who is hosting the best of the authors. That is
Why?
success for me. Because that gives me peace.
Yeah.
It gives me joy.
Yeah. So you ask anybody what their success is, whatever it is. For you, it is podcasting. For somebody, it would be a $7 billion, whatever. Okay. You ask them why, they'll say, okay, whatever. Maybe to send their children to the best institutions or to have the biggest villa or to travel, whatever. So again, keep asking them why. We just give excuses. We just give excuses of wanting to take care of our family, wanting to leave a legacy, wanting to secure our future. Those are all excuses, though we call it reasons for, and success stories. The base thing, when you just peel it like onion and come to the core of it, it is just for peace. Even happiness will not be there. Even joy wouldn't be there. I just want peace. I want to be peaceful.
True.
So success at last comes to that. And that is our very nature. Peace is our very nature.
True. I agree.
However you want to look at it. Look at it as energy beings, consciousness, peace. Or look at it physically. Either ways, peace is our true nature. Then you ask, so what is that? What wants peace? Nisha wants peace? Who is Nisha? Nisha is his body? Okay, I am Nisha. So who is that I? When you keep asking, who is that I? I is Nisha? No, I is that awareness that says this body is Nisha. No? That is peace. I hope I'm making sense. So once you understand that, then you can say all these are roles that we play. And then there will be absolutely no problem. When you look at, as I say always, if you were to look at Earth from an space, small thing. And inside this earth, we have geographical issues, border issues, economic issues, you big, I small issues. I look good, you look bad issues, what not. But from space, there's one now currently going on with Sunita Williams that she came down, and there is this. If I can find it, I'll send it to you. Beautiful, what she talks about. Staying in space and looking down. There are no borders, nothing visible. It is just one small round piece, and all of us are inside that. And then you zoom out, and that Earth is so small among all the other planets, right, in the solar system. And that solar system is one among thousands and millions among other solar systems, the Milky Way. And there are so many other Milky Way. So just go above, and then look at this podcast seat. You wouldn't even find it also.
True.
And then here we are, saying, I am so and so, I have so much experience, I have so much bank balance, I want to be this.
Nisha, your journey from a mainstream journalism of 20 years and then a complete transformation into becoming a coach, a book author. You had a realization at some point in time in your life. How is it that a person can get a realization that the outward success is not in line with the inner fulfillment of life? When is that realization moment, or how is that they can identify this?
See, it's not how you can identify. The number one, the answer is there in your question. Outward success is not inward fulfillment. But, not everybody identifies it also. That's what I told about destiny in the beginning. Some people are not destined to understand themselves, then they don't understand. Only if you sit and check. Now, if you are in a race and your goal is there and all you need to see is that to reach that goal, only that you will see, You will not see who is running beside you. But if you don't want to take part in that race and you say, I'm not going to take part in the race, I'm going to walk. Let the people going in the car, let them go. So that is your choice. So it is up to what you seek in you. And nothing is wrong, nothing is right, by the way.
True.
Nothing is wrong, nothing is right. If you don't want to, if you're happy, if you're joyful in the chaos, so be it. And by the way, chaos is also perspective, right? What seems like chaos for you may not be chaos for me.
For me, yes.
So there is no use asking how can you find, it's up to you. If you want peace and you think you get peace staying in a crowd, okay, I didn't find that peace. I wanted to ask the larger questions in life.
Nisha, your 2 decades of experience as a mainstream journalism career, you had your own personality traits, which inbuilt came in your life, in your personality, that you became courageous, you had a clarity of thoughts because of your work that you had. Now tell me, what would be the fundamental traits a person should have to become an author? And I would say, what are the other traits that he or she can learn during the course of time? What according to you is the answer?
Fundamental trait is honesty, authenticity. To become an author, be it non-fiction or fiction. Be true to yourself. Very, very important. And it is even more important today as we speak in this age of so-called AI. You can fake it, right? Just give a prompt, go to ChatGPT and come out with a book and stick your name to it, right? Be honest with yourself. That is the first important trait a good author should have. Authentic. Be it fiction, be it non-fiction. The other things can be learnt, as you said. The other things that an author needs is discipline. Very important. You need to sit and write. You need to take out that time and write. You need to be critical of yourself when you sit to edit what you write. Just because I've written 10,000 words, I wrote so everything should be published. No. You should be a good critic of yourself and yet be compassionate. Because when you're a good critic of yourself, it's very easy to get demotivated. So, honesty, Discipline and other things can come later. And courageous, of course. That's one trait you need to have. And for one thing I need to say, for non-fiction, apart from courage, you also need to take ownership of what you say. Okay? For fiction, most people think fiction is the opposite of non-fiction. Oh, fiction means just a figment of imagination. You sit and write something.
Exactly.
No. It takes more courage to write fiction than non-fiction.
Why do you say that?
Because fiction, that's what, it's interesting, because the common notion among people who do not read, or people who do not, or read sparingly, is fiction is this world of imagination. You create a world. Yeah? But good fiction, classical fiction, is always a mirror and reflection of society. You see any award-winning fiction, or the classics. Now, talking, because we are both from India, I can tell you, the classics, old-time classics of R.K. Narayan, Malgudi days, they are fiction. Today, anybody will have the courage to write something like that? Think about it. About talking about everyday society. Any good fiction, look at the Booker Prizes that you get, or the Pulitzer Prizes, all Jhumpa Lahiri's works. They're all reflection of society told in a fictionized way. It takes courage to write fiction. It's easy to hide behind non-fiction and just say framework, strategy, this, that, my experience, lived in experience.
So you said courage.
You need courage.
Honesty. And discipline.
Discipline, these are the basic things. And if you're writing non-fiction, take authority of, own it. Because a non-fiction gives you visibility. Non-fiction book today is an intellectual business card. But take ownership for what you write. And basically, authenticity, honesty. Be true to what you're writing. Understand why do you want it? Why you're writing it? For whom you're writing it? Especially non-fiction. Fiction people are more writers than authors. They are more passionate about it.
True.
Non-fiction people, especially today, they are these, they want it for something else. They want it as a passive income. They want it to open doors. They use it as a proper business card. So take ownership of what you write.
Nisha, there has been times earlier when an author used to, write a book, an exemplary book, out of his years of experience and years of, writing. But today it has been times where millions of books have been published every year. What has changed in these days? Is the advancement of regenerative AI the reason for this? Or there are some other factors for so many books getting published in the market?
The effect of regenerative AI has not yet set in fully. The only thing that has happened is Amazon giving a clause saying, accept how much of it is yours and how much is generated. Okay, so the total effect of AI generation into books, we'll get to see only in another couple of years. But what you're asking me is why so many books now, right? Than say 15, 20 years back. That was because of three reasons. One is the readers, the other is the professionals who are writing, and the other, the industry as well. So earlier it was only traditional publishing.
All right.
And traditional publishing takes a minimum 1.5 to 2 years. Okay. That changed, I guess, with Amazon coming in 2007, 2010, and Kindle. That changed the game. The digitalization changed the game. With traditional publishing taking a, not backseat, but they got an option. Right? Readers and writers got an option of overcoming this long process, the gatekeepers. You don't need a literary agent. You don't need editors. If you know to write and you know to publish, you publish it.
Correct.
Royalties coming directly to you. Is most important, the time frame. You write it, you upload it, finish. In 2 weeks also you can get a book out.
Okay.
Whereas you have to wait for 2 years if it's a traditional publishing. So what happened with the digitalization, professionals wanting books got a easy avenue. So more books started being published. And that sort of became more and more after the COVID because of the self-publishing industry. This self-publishing industry and the coaching industry. Especially after COVID, coaching was not a profession 10 years back. Coaching is a profession today. So it's not only the readers, it's the professionals who want to be seen. They are putting in using self-publishing methods, and the industry that has boomed. So all three together. If you look at it, non-fiction is more. There are almost 4 million books published annually, of which 80% is non-fiction. Because to write it is also easier.
True. You just have to be a subject matter expert.
Yeah.
Or you can have an experience in that area and you can write a non-fiction.
If you have a lived experience, that is very important. And I would suggest, I tell my clients, if you're writing non-fiction, this is something which my professor told me while I was doing our journalism. In our final semester, we had our thesis to submit. So we were like, let's put our thesis together, the entire class, and we can bring out a book. Our professor stood up and said, please, you want to write fiction, go ahead, write. But if you want to write non-fiction, go get out into the world, get some experience.
True.
Write about your lived. That's where authority comes.
True.
So that's what I need to tie in with what you said about AI. That is what we need to see how it's going to play out. You needed lived experience to write a great non-fiction. But that lived experience has been taken over by AI now. You don't have to have that experience. You can get that same experience. You just Google and see, or you just ask AI. They'll give you somebody else's experience. You just tweak it into your experience.
So you are saying there are AI authors, like people who are
plenty.
going to AI?
Plenty. I've got clients who's written biography. Biography, now that's the most ridiculous thing. A person wrote her biography using ChatGPT, and then she comes to me saying, put emotions. ChatGPT can't give you emotions. And they're okay with it. So this is where I want to tie back to saying the first trait any author should have is honesty.
Yeah.
Be honest. It won't connect with others otherwise.
True.
After some time. What you feel. See, that's what I'm just going back. I'm just veering again. Yeah. We say we are living in the age of AI. We are living in the age of information. I would say we are living in the age of energy. How would you know what is right and wrong? You can't say what is right and wrong. Tomorrow somebody creates the same image of you and me and say, this is a podcast done last year. There is no way we can prove unless we can see and feel it.
True.
There is no other way. Or, I don't know, AI will come up. Again, AI has to come up. No. It's our feelings now. Only our feelings can take us forward, honestly.
Nisha, you are a best-selling author yourself. What is it that a budding author should not miss to become a best-selling author? What do you think? See,
the word best-selling is something which I have personal issues and problems with, because it is, again, contextual. I'll tell you something. See, best-selling for traditional publishing or fiction is different from best-selling for non-fiction self-publishing authors.
Okay.
If you're traditionally published, even if you sell 10,000 copies of a book in a particular locality, you are a bestseller. But for a non-fiction author who is self-publishing, what is a metrics that you would use to say he or she is a bestseller?
You're saying it's not the same?
It's not the same. It's not the same. So the word bestseller is very tricky to use.
Okay.
Self-publishing can make you an instant bestseller if you're a brand.
Okay.
Right.
Personal brand.
If you're a personal brand,
yeah,
then it'll sell.
Okay.
Traditional publishing is like it'll give you instant visibility because you have a huge visible publisher behind you.
Correct.
But people may not buy those books. Yet, if you sell 10,000 of that, you'll be a bestseller. Because there are people tracking you, like New York Times bestseller and blah, blah, blah. Because all of them back traditional publishing, not the self-published books. Now, that's very interesting if you look at it. So that is why you say people go for self-publishing if you have a small community.
Okay.
To start off with, at least. So you get
your name out in the market.
You get your name out in the market. So best-selling is something very contextual. You can't use it as a general thing. But there are so many people, who were traditional publishers and then they went to self-publishing. See, it is very prestigious to say you're traditionally published. Oh, I'm from Penguin Random House. I'm from that. It's prestigious. But there are authors from traditional publishing who went to self-publishing.
Okay.
Because they didn't want that weight. They wanted that direct. Because everything is direct, right? You can control your time. You can control where you're selling it. The royalties come directly into your bank account.
Okay.
You've heard of Seth Godin? Seth Godin is a marketing philosopher.
Okay.
He's written, I think, almost 35 to 40 books.
Okay.
He was traditionally published first. First, all his books were traditionally published. Now he is taken over. Now he is solely self-publishing. People will say it is foolish. But for him, it works because he's a brand. So it works. He sells more books than he would have had he been traditionally published.
Okay.
Like you can check out all those. That Purple Cow is his. The Tribe, Lynchpin. He writes small books. He changed the game of self-publishing. He's a marketing philosopher. People call him marketing guru, but he doesn't like that word. He calls himself a marketing philosopher at best. Not the name that he gives, but that's small books he writes. Short ones. But there are the other people also, like who self-publish. Like you and me, if you want to self-publish, you self-publish. Once it is a hit, traditional publishers will come and take it from you.
Correct.
That is happening a lot as well.
So what is the trick, to become a bestseller if you are through a publisher? Is there any trick to it, or you need to have certain thing inside your book which hits the market? What is it? Is there something?
Marketing is it. Visibility and marketing.
So distribution or something like that?
Yes. Marketing.
Marketing.
At the end of the day, that's what I say. Even if Obama writes a book, he needs to go to Oprah. Today, Oprah has come out with a book on her 72nd birthday, and she is going to all the podcasters. So it's visibility.
True.
It's basically, it is you being there out.
To showcase your book.
To showcase your book. To showcase, before the book comes, you need to be out. Only then the book will happen.
Your number one bestseller, When Your Job Sucks, it talks about how to find the right job, for yourself, or to switch the career in a right way. What, according to you, is the right way of switching the career or finding the right job?
For whom?
For a person who is working in a corporate profile. What is the right way of switching a job?
Is to connect with yourself first and ask what makes you happy. To start with happiness. What makes you happy and why it makes you happy. Start with that. So I asked you why, for whom, is because if it is somebody in a mid-career, it is different from a youngster who is just finished university and starting. So we need to go back there as well.
True.
Right? When you start choosing your subjects itself, see, are you getting into the stream
just because of the money?
Just because of the money, or just because this is the hot topic and hot industry now?
Identity,
yeah.
Or it's something that you like?
It's something else that you like, right? Now because AI it is, are you going to take a degree or post-graduation in AI related subjects because it is the thing? Is it fear-based or is it love-based? Are you choosing a career? Are you changing your job because you're afraid of something or because you love it? Basic question you ask yourself. It'll help you. And then why you want to do it. And if you have reasons, sit with yourself and ask. Nobody is doing anybody a favor, not even parents. Parents say, oh, I'm doing it for children. Those are all excuses. Parents are also doing it for themselves.
Nisha, you also talk about spirituality, which is escapist spirituality and practical spirituality. What is the fundamental difference between both of them?
I don't know if somebody else has used the word practical spirituality, but I used it in my second book because at that time I thought I had to get spirituality into everyday life. Right? That's why I said in the beginning of this podcast, I use this word very sparingly today because of my awareness today that spirituality is an, what do you say, overtly abused term today.
True. Everyone is speaking about
Everybody is
spirituality.
spiritual. Anybody is, oh, I'm spiritual. I'm not going to read the newspapers. We are all spiritual. We are all spirits.
True.
We don't know where we came from and where we are going. And as I said, the example of look at the Google map and see, you'll not even see your face. So we are all spirits, we are all energy, we are all consciousness. So this term spirituality is not appropriate for me. But then I use the word escapist spirituality is because of this. Okay, I don't want to watch the news. I'm spiritual. That is escapism.
Okay.
Right? You cannot say that. How can you say? Tomorrow you'll say, oh, no, I'm sitting and meditating. I will not listen to noise. I will not listen to things. I'm in a safe zone. I will just go to my office, do my work, come to my family, love my family, hug my family. No, I'm not listening to what's happening around the world because I'm very spiritual. And you go to the airport, you're stopped because there's a change in travel rules. What will you say? Oh, I was meditating. That is escapism, right?
True.
You are living in this world, you live. You need to know what is happening.
You be aware about yourself.
You need to be aware. You cannot be saying apolitical. I can't understand people say, oh, I'm apolitical. I don't belong to any. You may not belong to any party, but you need to know politics. If you're living in this world, you need to know that. Because they dictate your life. You like it or not.
True.
You like it or not, politicians are dictating your life. No matter what is your net worth.
You should have a say of your...
You need to be aware of what is happening from here. You need to be aligned. That's what I said. You need to be aligned. You need to know who you are, know everything, and know that this is a role that you're playing. This is not who you are. I am not a journalist. Journalism is a role I'm playing. I am not a writer. Writing is a job that I'm doing for my livelihood. If I'm aware of that, I will know politicians are doing their job. Good or bad, different. Good or bad is the way you define it, how it affects you. But you cannot say, oh, I will not look at it because I'm spiritual. That is escapism. Practical spirituality is the opposite of this. You know, you see that, you're aware of it, and you navigate yourself by being peaceful. That is practical spirituality.
So, Nisha, let's move to rapid fire round question.
Oh, this is a surprise, huh?
Yeah.
I didn't know this. Okay.
So
I have a timer to say?
No, it's
Okay.
okay. You can just speak however
Okay.
you're comfortable. Your favorite book apart from your book?
The Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukav.
What is that one habit that you wish to quit?
One habit.
Yeah.
Laziness to exercise.
What is this morning ritual that you don't skip?
Sitting by myself. I wake up before my family wakes up. I need that 5 minutes, otherwise my entire day goes.
What is the best advice that you have ever received?
Best advice, professionally, personally.
Anything that you consider best?
I have two.
Go ahead, both of them.
Professionally was given by my first boss when I came to Dubai. I was working for the logistics company for a few months. And when I quit to join Gulf News, he said, you have to take this risk. If you want to do what you love doing, you need to take risks in life.
Amazing.
I'll never forget him, Mr. Ronnie. So I remember him on your podcast now. That's professional advice. Personal advice is consider everything as a role. My mentor said that. My mentor, Mr. Ramesh, he said this. Consider everything as your role, including the role of a wife and a mother. Then you'll not be attached with them. It's easy to live life.
What is difficult? Being a journalist into a mainstream journalism or being an author?
mainstream journalism is difficult because you cannot be a truthful journalist. You are answerable to so many people. Author, you can, as I said, if you have the courage to say what you say and you can stand up for it, you face a consequence. At least you can say what you want to say. How many journalists can say what they what they want to say today, truthfully? It's all bought out.
Finally, Nisha, what is your unfiltered advice to the people who are budding first authors and people who are stuck in their life, who are unhappy? What are these advices for these two set of peoples?
For people who want to write, just write. Write for yourself, not for others. Write. Don't edit. Just keep writing. Write for yourself so that you want to read. Don't think I'm going to publish it, I'm going to be that. No, no. Write for yourself. And if you want to become an author, write every day at least. Every day. 5 minutes is fine. Don't be ashamed of yourself. That's for the author part. And then what's the second part of your question? Sorry.
What is your unfiltered advice for people who are unhappy in their life, who are feeling stuck in their career, in their business, who just wants to live a better life?
What guarantee you'll wake up tomorrow? What guarantee? The breath that you're taking in now, it will not come out or not come out. So why are you afraid? Be happy, be peaceful.
Be grateful to what
Be
you have.
grateful. You're nothing. You are not in control. Right? So just be
Amazing.
happy. Be grateful.
Amazing.
Be happy with what you have today. Plan for tomorrow, of course. Have desires, have ambition, have goals. But be grateful that you're breathing today, you're healthy today.
True.
That's it.
Amazing. So guys, that was author Nisha, and she just in a very beautiful way explained that life is a paradox. What you see, what you believe, and what your role is, it's a way, it's a medium of living the life. Live to the best of the extent. If you want to become an author, you should be courageous, you should be consistent in your thoughts, and make sure that you portray the truth out in the market. That is Nisha. And stay tuned for upcoming new authors coming up in the show. And don't forget to like and subscribe this channel because you have many more bestsellers coming in for this show. Until then, you have a wonderful day. Take care of yourself. Thank you.